Satsang. So beautiful to be together on this rainy night. I always say it's such a blessing because we've got Ganga flowing in front of us. But then when it rains, it's Akash Ganga. It's Ganga flowing from the sky onto us. So we get Ganga from every way. Ganga in front of us, Ganga from on top of us, Ganga from all around us. So it's a double blessing. Starting satsang this evening, this is a question that's come from actually someone here. Who I took from you. Wonderful. It says she was shy to ask it in public, so she gave it in writing to Karuna to bring up. So it says, Namaskar Guru Ma. I don't have tears or cry, even when I lose my loved ones. I feel sad, but never cried for anything. I feel myself very odd and abnormal. Internally, I am not attached to anything, including my kids and my husband. I just do everything as it is my responsibility. Big conflict in my mind and searching for the answer. Why such behavior? Please help. From Suma. So there's two causes for this type of detachment. And only you will know what the cause is. One cause is a very beautiful, spiritually evolved way of living. Yeto lakshay. This is the goal we are giving. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, if you read our scriptures, the teachings we are given are do your duty, be there fully, completely, sincerely, and yet do not be attached. Be the mother, be the wife, be the person in your career, whether you're the CEO or the window washer or anything in between. Be there fully, play the role fully, but don't be attached. It's like if you're an actor and you're given a script for your role. And as you're reading the script, you realize that your role gets mugged or somebody steals something from her. You're not going to say, oh my God, no. You're not going to go back to the screenwriter and say, no, please don't have somebody steal my favorite thing in the show. Because you're just the actor. You don't have any actual attachment to it. You'll do a good job of pretending. But the fact that you're playing the role of someone who got her favorite statue stolen or her favorite pair of shoes stolen, or even that you're playing the role of someone whose loved one died, you're not going to be personally impacted by that. You'll do a good job playing it. But you understand, I'm the actor, it's just a role. The screenwriter wrote it, it's just my script. That's, in a way, how we are meant to live these lives. Not like we're playing, not like we're pretending. So it's not exactly like acting. So it's not about pretending. It's about doing it fully. Because we've been given these human lives. We are meant to live them fully, every bit of it, and yet not to get attached. Because the nature of nature is change. And if the nature of nature is change, then the more attached we are to things not changing, the more miserable we'll be. The more attached I am to having the physique that I had when I was 21, or the skin that I had when I was 21, or this that I had, or that, the more miserable you'll be. If you're attached to looking like someone in their 20s or 30s, you're just setting yourself up for misery, because the only way you're not going to get old and wrinkly and gray is if you die young. That's the only actual anti-aging thing that works, is you die young. Which obviously nobody wants to do. That's not a good solution. If you don't die young, you can be sure you're going to get old. Now, obviously, we want to get old as healthily as we can. I'm not saying let it go. But your body will change. Every bit of it. What it can do, what it looks like, what it feels like. Similarly, your loved ones. They will change, they will grow. You will lose them, or they will lose you. There's only two ways it happens. Either you die first, and they lose you, or they die first and you lose them. It's the only possibility. Or you die together. But this idea that somehow I'm going to hold on to this forever is just setting ourselves up for misery. So this is where we are taught, have vairagya, have detachment, have this powerful way of not being attached. Be there, love it fully, but don't be attached. So one reason that you may be feeling this level of detachment is that you've done lifetimes and lifetimes of sadhana, lifetimes of meditation that have given you this experience in this lifetime from the beginning without having to really work too much for it, of being detached. If that's the reason, it's beautiful. However, and again, you're the only one who can know this. However, being detached can also be a psychological defense mechanism. If I am afraid of getting hurt, one of the ways of quote-unquote protecting myself, and I put it in quotes because it doesn't actually work, but we think it works, is I don't actually care. I don't actually get attached. If you've ever had your heart broken, as I imagine most of us have at some point in our life, we know that for quite some time after the heart is broken, we don't want to open it again because we don't want to be hurt again. And so we don't attach. And so this level of detachment, you're there but you're not there, can also be a psychological defense mechanism to protect yourself from getting hurt. There's a psychological term called anhedonia, which means basically the lack of emotions, the lack of emotional state. Now again, if it comes from lots of meditation, from being so anchored and grounded in spirit that which happens in the day-to-day world just doesn't impact you so much, then it's great. It's how our saints and our sages and our gurus are. They're very balanced. But it's also a major symptom of depression. So you've got to check in with yourself and be really honest with yourself of, am I running from something? Am I afraid of something? Am I disconnected? Because you don't want to be disconnected. Vairagya is not disconnection. You want to be connected, but just not attached. And the reason we don't want to be attached is just because we have no control. I have no control over what someone else is going to do. I can love them. I can treat them beautifully. I can give them everything. And they still may abuse me or leave me or betray me, hurt me. And I have no control over what they do. And so the detachment is a way of preventing ourselves spiritually from becoming miserable when people in the world act in ways that are not how we would like them to act. And that's beautiful. But it's not disconnection. And it's not apathy. And it's not indifference. It's not that you don't care. It's just that you are anchored and grounded in something that is so much deeper that these waves on the surface don't impact you much. So check in with yourself and see what it is. If it's the spiritual benefit of lifetimes of tapasya, thank God for it. But if it's not, then you've got some really beautiful and really powerful psychological work to do. And it's work around surrender and letting go of fear and trusting and opening your heart that you can love and trust and doing what I call a trust fall into the universe. Yes, open your heart. It's what I tell everybody who's been betrayed and heartbroken. Yeah, take your time. It'll take a little while, but then open your heart again. Because to live with a closed heart is to die. You're still living, and it's like the heart is beating, but if it's not open, you're not really living. So allow yourself to do the psychological work, the spiritual work that's necessary to really generate that faith in the universe that you can really love. You can really open your heart. You can really let another human being see the truth of who you are. Because a lot of times we don't do that. We feel like, oh, if they knew who I was, they'd hate me, they'd leave, they would, And so we keep it all shut up inside. And this is where you have to really have courage and confidence and faith. Let yourself fall. Let yourself fall into the arms of the divine through those around you. Let yourself live an open-hearted life. Because anything else is death while still living. So take little steps every day. But every day take another step of trusting. Every day trust a little bit more. Open up a little bit more. Love a little bit more. Care a little bit more. Let yourself get connected a little bit more. And then you'll see the real beauty of it. Beautiful. Yeah. Other questions that anyone? Yes. Come.
Thank you. There was a man here yesterday, Gurpreet Singh, and he didn't get to ask a question, and I told him I would ask for him.
Oh, great.
He said, I am Sikh. How do I perfect myself in my religion?
Ah, wonderful. So, whatever your religion is, the gentleman who asked this question is from Sikh Dharma. But whatever religion you're from, or whether you don't subscribe to a religion, the way to perfect yourself is to recognize the inherent perfection of yourself and to open yourself to that. If you look at all of that makes us imperfect, it all is rooted in ignorance. So you look at, for example, our anger, our greed, our lust, our ignorance, all of these things that are sins and wrong things that we're told, you're bad if you have this. First of all, you're not bad if you have anything. It's all part of the package of human life. But those sorts of emotional states tend to cause us to act in ways that later cause suffering. They tend to narrow our vision so that we objectify ourselves and others, and that's ignorance. So we need to break free from them, not because they're bad and wrong, but just because they are not the highest truth. So the best way to live your perfect self is to free yourself from all of that which is rooted in ignorance and pulls you out of perfection. So the anger and the greed and the jealousy and the hatred and the competition and the discrimination, all of these things have a common foundation. And the common foundation is, I identify as my physical body, and I identify as my story here on earth. My career, my relationships, my bank account, my history, my color, my race, my religion, all of that. I identify as that. When I identify as that, inevitably, I'm going to feel jealous of people who are more beautiful, more smart, more successful, more rich. Obviously, it's only natural. If who I am is my body, is my intelligence, is my success, is my wealth, then obviously I want as much as I can. I'll never be satisfied. It will breed greed. It will breed jealousy. It will breed competition. It will breed me constantly feeling not enough. And I'll move through the world just constantly wanting to grab more. But that doesn't mean that you are not perfect. It means that you have turned away from the inherent perfection of who you are into ignorance. And in that ignorance, you have started to think of yourself as very small. And in that smallness, you have started to act in ways that cause suffering. They cause suffering for others, they cause suffering for you. This is the law of karma. But also just living in ignorance is painful. It's why we suffer. So the best way to unfold the perfection of you is to ask yourself, what is it? What is it that is not perfect in me? Why do I have it? Where did it come from? And how can I let it go? How can I let that imperfection go? Again, not because it's bad. The goal is not become perfect on the outer level. It's not about your room should be perfectly clean, your work should be perfectly done, the meal should be perfectly cooked, you should perfectly clean your plate while you're eating it, your clothes should be perfectly pressed. It's not that. It's not even, thou shalt never be angry or greedy or lustful. No. It's when that ignorance leads me to suffer, that I'm able to recognize that my suffering is due to the ignorance. Otherwise, what happens is, let's say I suffer, okay? And you say to me, what's wrong? I say, oh my God, it's because this person is like that, and that person is like this, and I never get to do that, and this is unfair, and I'll never be like that. Those are the stories we tell about why we suffer. So the reason to be free of these things is not because they make us bad or wrong or evil, but just because they make us suffer. And when we suffer then, we go deeper into ignorance, because then we blame something outside for our suffering. And then we just want to have more. I suffer because I don't like how I look. Okay, I'm going to go to another anti-aging clinic. I'm going to buy more makeup. I'm going to do... It just perpetuates the suffering. Because the solution to my suffering takes me into more and more ignorance. I suffer because that colleague in the cubicle next to me steals all my work is mean. I'm going to solve it. I'll show him. When he goes home, I'm going to steal all his work, or I'm going to, spill my coffee all over his desk and ruin his work, or whatever. Well, that solution breeds more ignorance, because that solution is saying to you that guy is separate from you. He is the cause of your suffering. Your work being stolen is who you are. And so our solutions, when we are mired in ignorance, the solutions just take us more into ignorance. And this is why we work to free ourselves from that ignorance, from that anger, from that jealousy, from that competition, from that ego. Because all it does is lead to more suffering. So a perfect Sikh on a deep level is no different from a perfect Hindu or a perfect Muslim or a perfect Christian or a perfect Jew. Because at the core, we're all human. And deeper even than that, we're all divine. And so, sure, each of our religions has our own precepts and ways of emphasizing dharma and righteousness and commandments. But what we're ultimately looking to be is the most perfect version of the human that we are. And we're already perfect. We just forgot. So we have to turn back. Great. Great question. And thank you so much for asking that for him. Yeah, other questions? Any question that... Yes, please.
I was wondering if you had some advice for someone early on the spiritual journey. Because it feels like when you start, your life direction changes completely. Your interests change, your habits change, and it can feel a little bit lonely in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I know I've experienced that. A lot of my friends have. So I wanted to have some advice.
Yeah, that's a great question. When we embark on a spiritual path, everything changes. Think about, let's begin on a physical level. Let's say that you were living a life in which all you did really was you went out for hamburgers and French fries and pizza and chocolate cake, and you indulged in all of that, and then you sat around and you watched TV. So you became really fat and really unhealthy. And then you went away to some beautiful health resort, and they taught you healthy eating habits, and you exercised, and you lost a bunch of weight, and how you ate changed, what you ate changed. Well, when you go back, none of the clothes that you used to wear will fit. Nothing in your closet fits. You have to have new clothes. All of the restaurants you used to go to, now you can't go there anymore because there's nothing for you to eat. All of the people you used to go out for burgers and fries with, now they don't want to eat salads. They still want to keep eating pizza. They're not interested in going for salad. So now you need to find new dining companions. The grocery stores that you used to shop in were ones that had, the cheapest frozen pizzas. Now you want good organic vegetables. You want fresh things that you can buy and make that are healthy. You need a new grocery store. So everything is changed. But you wouldn't feel badly about it. You would understand, and the people at the health resort would hopefully help you as you were getting ready to go home. Help you plan, you better go on Amazon.com before you get home and order yourself some new clothes, because the old ones in your closet are not going to fit. You better figure out, go on Google, figure out where are the health food stores near you, where's the good healthy restaurants you can eat at, where can you get a good organic salad. Same way, when the change is spiritual, it's somewhat more subtle, but it's the same thing. The places you used to go, the things you used to do, the people you used to do them with, suddenly they don't fit anymore. But when you come home from the health place, everybody says, wow, you look great. There's a lot of external validation. So there's not so much internal conflict. You feel great buying new clothes. You feel great throwing away all of your fat clothes. But when it's a spiritual shift, there can be some external pushback. What's happened to you? Why you changed? Now you think you're better than we are. Come on, let's do what we used to do. Who do you think you are now? And there can be some negative pushback to it. Don't let that bother you. Just think about it like people who want to keep eating burgers and fries and pizzas, and every time you eat a salad, it makes them feel guilty. They don't want to face the choices they're making, so it's easier for them to try to convince you to have a cheeseburger than for them to actually change their own habits. Same thing spiritually. When you embark on a spiritual path, it can rub people the wrong way. Because if people were used to hanging out with you on just a much more superficial level, movies and parties and bars and food and drinks, and now suddenly you're saying, God, I'd like to go deeper. I don't want to go there. I want to go to the temple. I want to sing kirtan. I want to meditate. I want to go do yoga. They're going to say, what's happened to you? You're no fun anymore. And they're going to try to make you feel bad so that they don't have to examine their lives. And in the same way that outgrowing the clothes that fit you when you were 300 pounds, you're going to outgrow some relationships. Some of them will survive. Some of your friends will be good enough friendships that even if they don't understand, they're going to respect. They're going to stay connected. They're going to be interested. They'll be curious. They'll want to learn. They may not change, but they'll love you enough and they'll be committed enough to the friendship that they'll be curious. Okay, show us, what is this yoga thing? What is this meditation thing? What is this kirtan thing? What is this satsang thing? But a lot of them won't be. And that's where you know that they weren't actually very deep friends, that they were just people you hung out with. And then you're going to start making new friends. And the truth is, you don't need 100 friends. You just need a few good ones. And you'll make friends with people who are in your meditation group. People who come to satsang, people who go to sing kirtan, people who are going to do yoga. Those will be the people who, hey, after meditation, let's go get some food. Chances are they're not going for cheeseburgers. And you'll find friends who are more in alignment. And it's sad. It's sad sometimes because we always had, that pair of jeans or that t-shirt or those that we loved. But we recognize that they served a beautiful purpose for us for a while. And now we're on a different path. And you let them go. You let them go. And you make new ones. And you don't try to make them feel badly. You love them, you honor them. And you make new friends. Yeah. Beautiful. Any other questions? Yes.
Sadhviji, pranam and greeting. Sadhviji, internet has become a necessity for almost everyone. And for many it is a boon, and for many it is a curse.
Yes.
I've been observing a lot in one of the generations which I could see are highly glued to internet, social media, reels, are the ones who are elder to us.
Are the ones who are?
Elder to us, our parents, our grandparents, because India very slowly, or Asia, has drifted towards the nuclear families. For the good avenues, their kids have moved out of their homes. And I could see, I could relate that whenever they get time, they are on a mobile device. All they are watching is something which has to do with reels, the forwards. And you really wonder, they are the ones who has raised us
Yes.
to a level wherein we have, and they are the ones who actually taught us, both towards the spirituality as well as for our academics. However, at this age, wherein they should be more socializing with the set of people they will care the most about, or they should be thinking about the next progression towards surrendering to God, they are spending a lot of time on the internet.
Very interesting. Typically the question is the exact opposite. Typically it's how do we get our kids off their mobiles? Now it's how do we get our parents off their mobiles and our grandparents off their mobiles? So, first of all, you can't actually change another person. When they are your children, especially if they're young, there are certain rules that you can create in the house. No mobile times, no mobile zones. You can create these rules. But your parents and your grandparents are not going to take it from you. You can't go into your parents and grandparents and say, okay, give it, get off, no more, time's up. All you can do is keep offering them an alternative. An alternative. Sit down with them. Start talking. They're on their phone? Okay, no problem. Keep talking. Maybe you talk a little bit, and then you stop and you say, oh, seems like this is a bad time for you. No problem. When you're done, let me know or me firaunga. Say it like that. Give them the choice. They go, I have come to sit with you and talk to you, but it looks like you're busy. Don't criticize them. Don't complain. Don't say, oh my God, you're always on that thing. Just go to sit with them. Begin talking. Start sharing something with them. But then stop, kind of mid-sentence, and say, oh, lagta ki you are busy. No problem. Just let me know when you're done, and then I'll come back and talk to you. My guess is that most of them will say, oh, koi baat nahi, bato, bato. And they'll put the phone down. What happens with our devices is we don't even realize. We've gotten to a point where it's considered kind of socially acceptable to be looking on your phone while someone is talking to you. And it's the absolute worst thing in the world. If we had to make like a global rule, I would say never, ever be on your phone while someone is talking to you. If you have something you have to do, say to the person who's there, please give me a moment, I have to do something important. It's okay, things happen, you have to do things. Sometimes we have some urgent work to respond to, or there's some urgent message we're waiting for. But you tell that person who's in front of you, ek minute ruko, let me just see this, I'll be back with you in 30 seconds. Acknowledge the fact that that person is there in front of you. I think that they don't even realize what's happening. They're bored, they're lonely, children are busy, grandchildren are busy. That community that used to exist is not there so much. Most of the older generation grew up in villages, people would sit out on the porches, there was always something happening, people nearby. Now in the big cities, especially if they're abroad, but even in India, in the big cities, now people are in, separate houses. And so they get lonely. And so the phone has become the antidote to their boredom and their loneliness. And they may not be aware enough of when to put it down. So all you have to do is just bring their awareness into it. Hey mom, when would be a good time for us to tell you this good story? Lagta that you're in the middle of watching a show? No problem. We have really exciting news. We want to talk to you. When is a good time? Or just make a list of questions. There must be things about your parents' life that you're interested in, that you always wanted to know. Don't wait until they're on their deathbed. Make a list of things that would interest them. People love people, especially when they're older. They love to talk about their life, their memories, their lessons. Invite them to do that. Hey mom, you never told me about this time when you and dad, whatever it was. Tell me this story again. And if they don't put down the phone, then all you do very sweetly, very simply is say, oh, lagta that you must be busy now. No problem. When you're free, let me know. We'll continue the conversation. And I bet that immediately they will put it down. You just have to offer them an alternative. That's the dilemma.
Sadhviji, a follow-up to this. I absolutely am with you. And this, if I look at specifics also, whenever the family is together, parents even love to see you around. They love to spend more time with your kids rather than because it is where their heart will be.
Of course.
However, when they go home, or when you move out of the home, which you were born at, because as I said, people are disintegrated, nuclear families, they work in different places. As you rightly said, loneliness and then probably ample time, and then this device is very handy. And subconsciously they don't realize. And this in later, part of their lives may create disorders in their neurological behavior or their neurons because constantly they're switching screens.
Yeah.
And then Alzheimer's and maybe in future some other diseases may crop up in a bigger way, wherein they find it difficult to connect because they were distracted at a very, very later age, which they were not used to. Any message which you want to give it very certainly to the larger audience who is watching you globally, that they should be aware of
Yes.
how to spend it.
Yeah. So I am not aware of any neurological scientific studies showing the use of mobiles causing dementia or Alzheimer's or cognitive decline. If those exist, I would be fascinated. So if anybody has those articles or has that research, please send it to me. I would be really interested. I'm not aware of that. I know that it has a very bad impact on the developing brains of youth, but not in a dementia, Alzheimer's sort of way, but in other ways. Now, that doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that I haven't seen any research about that. But I would be more concerned about them kind of checking out of life. So maybe what you can do is you can set, instead of saying to them specifically, set up a family rule. At the dinner table, in the dining room, no phones. Not you, not your kids, not them. And I bet they will go along with it. I bet they will. And if you announce it like, hey, okay, we have a new rule, we need more family time, no phones in the dining room. Don't make your parents think it's about them. They'll assume it's for your kids. But everybody has to partake. You have to leave your phone. And slowly, slowly start bringing more of these niyams into the house. Not because you tell them that you think they have a problem, but you can use your kids as an excuse. I want to get the kids off the mobile, so can you help me? We all have to also stay off our mobiles. At the dining table, when we're sitting together in the living room. Start making these mobile-free times and places, not just for them, but in such a way that the entire family is mobile-free.
So instead of me time, it should be our time.
I'm sorry?
Instead of me time, it should be our time.
Absolutely. Exactly. 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 Beautiful. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening, everyone. Beautiful rainy evening. And I look so forward to being together again tomorrow. And so much love.